distracted. A message came in and I was reading it and then you came on live. All right, so welcome to the Bible in 1 Year with Ochido Ayi, and I'm your host Ochido. So today is day 317. We have 48 official days to go. Yay! It's not like I didn't know I would pull this off, but it was so hard at some point. I wanted to just ditch the whole thing, and just try and catch up myself. But here we are, still hanging in there. So if you know anyone who is curious about the Bible, I have a whole load of work with videos we've done. Please tell them to come, subscribe to this channel, and then just follow through day by day. If they follow us day by day, they would actually cover the entire Bible. They will know everything that is going on in the Bible. Yes, they will have an idea. And I bet you, even their interpretations will be different. I mean, there will be some basic standard interpretations, then there will be some that will speak something else to them. And if they're willing to share in the comments, that would be awesome, right? That would be awesome. So please share this with others who you think are curious about knowing the Bible in 1 year. Share this with those who are looking for a community to belong, a Bible reading community to belong. Yes. So today is day 317, and we're looking at Ezekiel. So every single day we follow the structured guide from this Bible reading guide. It's known as the Daily Bible Reading Guide from Family Ministries International, the church I attend. And every day we look at an Old Testament, a New Testament, a Psalm, and a Proverb. We're done with the Psalms. We're almost done with the Proverbs. We're coasting through as well as the Old Testament. So today we'll be looking at Ezekiel chapter 17, 27 and 28. We'll be looking at Hebrews. We'll be continuing with Hebrews, the hall of fame of faith. Yeah. And then of course we'll be looking at Proverbs 27, 15 to 16. So because that's a very short one, I'll just start with that. Proverbs 27. So every day I retell the stories. I share insights that I feel like, or something I want us to maybe extend the conversation on. I demonstrate, I lace it with Nigerian humor, so you may hear some parlance and slangs that are not maybe common English language words. But those who are from Nigeria will really get it. And then those who also speak some type of pidgin English may get it as well. Anyway, so today we're looking at, let's start with Proverbs 27. Sunny day today. It's a day to be middle of making a very big decision in my business, and I'll probably share about it when I'm clear that this is what God wants me to do. Am I Japanese? Come on, do I look Japanese to you? No, I'm not, and you know that, don't you? Anyway, Edward, thank you for asking. Thank you for joining me today. Okay, so let's quickly so that we don't so we can keep the time, we'll start with Proverbs 27, 15 to 16, and I'll just read it. 15, a continual dripping on a very rainy day. Right. Okay, if you can see me, say something. I see your comments. Edward, if you can see me, please say something and let me know that you are still, because this thing disconnected for a brief moment. So just let me know that you can see and hear me. All right, so Proverbs 27 verses 15 says, a continual dripping on a very rainy day and a contentious woman are alike. Whoever restrains her restrains the wind and grabs oil with his hands. Okay, so that's done with Proverbs. Ezekiel, chapters 27, verses 1 to chapters 28, verses 26. So as usual, God is talking to Ezekiel again. Ezekiel is like the king of receiving visions from God right now. Son of man, sing a funeral song for Tyre. So in Nigeria, we say things like tire and sit down. So I told you we'll lace it with Nigerian humor. In Nigeria, when we say I don't tire, It means I'm really tired, and then I don't tire, I want to sit down. It means I'm so tired, I want to sit down. So we always find it amusing when we read the Bible and we see Tyre and Sidon, like two sister nations, always mentioned together in the Bible. So God today is talking to Tyre, and Sidon, the mighty coastal gateway, and he said to her, Tyre, you boasted that your beauty is perfect, like a great ship built of the finest cypress from Sinai, cedars from Lebanon, and oaks from Bashan, pine from Cyprus, and sails from Egypt's linen, and so forth. Lots and lots of things. You boast of how beautiful you are and how strong your ships are. Okay? Syria and Damascus, Dedan, Tarshish, all of these neighboring countries traded with you. You had fabrics, colorful carpets, embroidery, and lots of things passing through you as trade. But your oarsmen, the men who were leading your ship, who the captains of your ship, your oarsmen have led you to a stormy sea, and you've lost everything. So now this is God talking to Tyre through Ezekiel. You've lost, I'm still speaking in first person. You've lost everything: riches, wares, sailors, pilots, merchants. On the day of ruin, everyone sank into the stormy depths of the sea. Cities tremble, oarsmen abandon ship. They cry aloud over you, Tyre. They cry aloud over you. They shave their heads in grief. They dress in burlaps and they sing funeral songs. And there was a whole lot in between the funeral songs, which I didn't bother to write down here. If you want to know what the songs were, just go read the scriptures. I'm going to leave them in the description box. Okay? But the summary is that, was there ever such a city as Tyre? And now Tyre sits at the bottom of the sea. Blah, 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 blah. You have come to a horrible end and you exist no more. So Ezekiel, as usual, was used to prophesy to Tyre, a popular, splendid, beautiful city in its time. So chapter 28 says, give the princes this message. I think the princes of Tyre this message from the sovereign Lord. And when I read this thing, I thought, this does not sound like a nation. It sounds like a human being, like a king. Anyway, let me read it. So it says, in your pride, you claimed you were a god, sitting on a divine throne at the heart of the sea. But you are only a man. You may think yourself wiser than Daniel and have amassed a lot of wealth. And yes, your wisdom indeed did make you rich, but it also made you proud. But I'll bring an alien army against you, defiling your splendor. Then will you be able to boast? You die like an outcast. I've spoken again against you, and I have spoken again. Sing another funeral song for this person I'm speaking about. You are a model of perfection, full of wisdom, exquisite in beauty. Your outfit was made of various precious stones. You were ordained and anointed as the mighty angelic guardian. You had access to God's holy mountain and walked among stones of fire, blameless until the day sin was found in your heart. Rich comments led you to sin, and so you were banished disgracefully and expelled, almighty angel, from your place among the firestones. Filled with pride, corrupted by splendor, I threw you to the ground. This is me now speaking as God. I threw you to the ground and exposed your place among. I threw you to the ground, exposing you to great kings. And fire from within consumed you, reducing you to ashes. Those who was were appalled. and you were consumed completely, existing no more. And then to Sidon, say, so you know, now Sidon has, remember we talked about Tyre and Sidon. Now Sidon has come in now. So say to Sidon, I am your enemy. I will reveal my holiness when I bring judgment against you. I'll bring a plague. There will be blood in the streets. There will be attack from every direction. And then to Israel, you will live again in the land I gave to Jacob. You and your people will live safely until I punish all the nations that have maltreated you. And so that ends the Old Testament reading. So I couldn't help thinking. I couldn't help thinking that what I just read in chapters 26, back in the day, I didn't really know how people could identify when God was talking about a thing or a time, especially in the book of prophets. They're very prophetic, so they had like multi-layered meanings. They were not all just physical, like it was just not a descriptive thing. They were also prophetic things like metaphors. They were metaphors for other things. So I think that chapter 26 talks about a metaphor for somebody as powerful as the devil. Yes. I've heard some pastors say this before. Now looking back, I see, okay, this is what they meant, because I've heard them quote some parts of the scripture before. But this is the first time I'm really taking it all in, but something here that stood out to me was in the middle of the sea. Your divine throne in the middle of the sea, and that you exist no more. So what does this mean? Does the devil not exist anymore, or does it not exist as an angelic being anymore? Because God says he has thrown him to the ground. That's conversation for another day. The second thing that I want us to talk about, and perhaps you can leave your comments in the comment section, is what. So God talks about punishing nations who made fun of Jerusalem and Israel and everything, killing them, dealing with them, and all of that. So I just want to ask, what are your thoughts about why does God not adopt the preventive measure around some things? Is it that he tried to adopt the preventive measure and the Jerusalem people from Jerusalem were too stubborn to listen? And one thing I've understood about God, having read through the scriptures all the way to now, if anyone, whether you are Israelite or not, align with his purposes, he will side with you completely. So he kind of like he picks it. He's trying to make like Israel a model nation, but they are stubborn and silly and constantly lost after the other nations and how other nations live. So he picks a fight with them, and then when other nations laugh, he deals with them as well. Why does he allow the things to get to the point where there has been heavy bloodshed before he takes action? And then why does severe bloodshed have to be the route of punishment? Or can they have like a reasoning together conversation? Can they invite all these nations and let them see that the God here is the true living God, and that all their other gods are like tiny little demons, and they cannot stand up against the Israelite God? Why can't I have that conversation? Why does it have to end in this kind of massive bloodshed, especially in the book of Ezekiel? That leaves a lot for thinking, right? All right, so let's round this up. Hebrews 11 chapters verses 17 to 31. So we continue with the stories of faith. It was by faith that Abraham gave Isaac up as sacrifice, even though God had told him that it was through Isaac that he would have a great nation. I mean, Isaac was a child of old age. Isaac came when he was really old, and then now God was asking him to sacrifice Isaac. Anyway, Abraham believed by faith that God will still bring Isaac back to life. Something that probably wasn't happening in their time. I mean, Abraham did not have anyone who had come back to life. So for him to even think it, well, that really made it so easy to see why God really liked him, right? God really liked him. It's the same faith. Well, I've been talking about faith from yesterday's episode. It was the same faith that it was the same reason that Isaac promised blessings for his twins, Esau and Jacob. And Jacob, same faith working through them in old age, confidently blessed all his 12 sons and bowed in worship on his staff. It was by faith that Joseph said on his deathbed confidently that his people, the Israelites, whenever they were leaving Egypt, should take his bones. It was by faith that he said that. It was by the same faith that Moses' parents hid him for 3 months, defying the king's order to have all sons submitted for slaughter, because they noticed he was an unusual child. It was by faith. It was by faith that Moses himself refused to be called Pharaoh's son. The moment he was old enough to appreciate his heritage, he chose to align with the oppression of the Jews than to stay in the palace, escaping persecution and being like an impostor in Pharaoh's household, passing himself off as Pharaoh's sister's daughter, as Pharaoh's son. He chose, like Jesus, to side with the oppressed than to enjoy the fleeting pleasures of sin. And he told himself it's better to wait for the great reward, and he left Egypt when he couldn't stay any longer. It was by faith that Moses commanded the Israelites to keep a Passover, something that they hadn't even ever heard of. It hadn't been done, just so that their firstborns will live, because the angel of death was going to go around Egypt and going to take the firstborns as a trade-off for the escape of Israel. And it was by faith that Moses told them to take that action. It was by faith that the Israelites actually took the action. It was faith that made them cross the Red Sea. It was faith that made them march around Jericho 40 years after the first, because by the time they were going through Jericho, it was the children of the first people who left Israel. It was by faith that they go around Jericho 7 days. And it was by faith that Rahab, the leader of the night, who welcomed the spies and told them stuff about the place, kept them in her care, and hid them when they were being sought after. It was by faith that she did that, because she kind of like saw something in those guys and knew that these guys are going to take over this place. I better side with them. It was by faith that she was able to do that, and she gave a friendly welcome. So that ends. We'll continue the faith talk. I think we'll round up the Hebrews 11 in tomorrow's episode. However, I just want to say something that I saw here. At the time that the Israelites were about to leave Egypt, they were told, oh, this night, everybody get dressed, wear your clothes, wear your shoes. We're all going to kill a lamb. We're going to take the lamb and we're going to place it on all the doors, and everybody roast the lamb, stand. Don't even sit down to eat. Make sure you are already packed up. They had no idea what to expect. Why? Moses had told them that the angel of death was going to come around the town, and then they were going to be released. Even Moses did not know how it was going to happen. I wonder if today, if God gave an instruction to all the Christians in the world to say, something is about to happen in the world, I need you all to take action. I need you all to do something as drastic as what they did in the past. Something like sacrifice a lamb, sprinkle the blood on your bloodshed. Would every Christian get the information? Will every church hear that God gave that instruction? Will it get to everyone's ears? Would they be able to escape? Because if you look at that great exodus, not one person was left behind. Not one person. Because none of them lost a child, a firstborn. But in the Egyptian houses, many of them were crying because they didn't get news. Here in Nigeria, we have, okay, I'll tell you a story. Way back, so right now there's a lot of talk about Christian genocide, right? Christian genocides in Nigeria. I experienced my first Christian genocide type thing when I was in university in my final year. And a very dear friend of mine told me something. He said, Uchida, try not to come out today. Don't roam around the town. I said, why? He said he heard rumors that there was going to be a fight. I remember thinking, ooh, I guess we've been bored. Would love to see what a fight around town would look like. Would it be like a wrestling match, or what would it be? He said, just be careful. That day, the very next day, just like a few days later, just like he told us, a fight broke out in the middle of the day. And we were trapped in the university. We couldn't get to our room. And the funny thing was that my sisters were visiting town, my university town, like where we live and where I was schooling was roughly 12 to 13 hours by road. They visited to spend some time with me, and because my grandparents live in that town as well. And that whole crisis happened. Everybody who knew about, like, a lot of people knew that there was going to be a crisis. And this friend of ours had told us, we didn't, of course, we didn't take him seriously, you know. And even him, he didn't know what to expect. He just said he had never witnessed something like this too. He had no idea what to expect, but he heard that there was going to be fighting. We needed to be careful. I didn't know. And that was my first experience at this kind of genocide. People I knew died. People I knew died. When we resumed school after the crisis, there were people that didn't resume with us. People who were in school with that day. People who, like a friend's younger brother, we were even looking for him the next day. I can't find my brother. I can't find him. Days later, we found him. He was found, you know. So everybody got the memo that there was going to be a fight. You needed to be careful. And this friend of mine, he was trapped with us too. Maybe he didn't take it seriously. I don't know. He was trapped with us as well, and experienced that genocide thingy. You know, he experienced it as well. You know, of course, time passed and a lot has changed. It's still going on. My sister was trapped again and again. You know, most of these fights happen in the core northern part of our country. On their doors so that the angel of death will not take anyone from their house. And everybody got the memo. Would the same thing happen today if God gave an instruction that was going to be life-saving? That's food for thought, right? Yeah. So we discuss faith, that we believe that there is a God and that He rewards those who believe in Him. So we're discussing faith. I want to hear what you think in the comment section, okay? Thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you. This has been episode 317. Please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for the hearts and the loves. I'm grateful, and I hope you subscribe and join me in the next episode, okay? Turn on the button so you know when next I go live, and I'll see you soon.